Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Xander Gibb Show. We're just letting the feeds fill. Feel free to click the share button while we do that. I'm just going to get the show codes so I can share them and make sure that people are aware that we are broadcasting live. So feel free to click that share button. Oh, yes, sirree. Welcome, welcome. You are all very welcome here. We will say hello to everybody individually once we get started. I'm just clicking that share button and putting it on all of the profiles, etc., etc. But you can help me out a little bit and do that too. And there are brownie points in it for you. You will definitely go to heaven because we are doing God's work here in saving America, or helping to save America, because I think that Mr. Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is definitely doing a very good job of that too. Let's make sure we can open this in a new page. Flashing lights there. I don't know why. Oh yes, sorry. Let's open a chat so we can talk, because it's good to talk if we can get there and get the page open. Welcome, welcome. Don't be shy. Come in. We got some great stuff for you tonight on the show. Some great guests. And some great chat too. This is the point in the show where you here we go. Click that mute button. Yo glow. We will I'm just gonna share the show, share to a group. I have to watch when I do this because I get into lots of trouble when I share to groups that I'm not supposed to share to, like local groups about dumping trash and things like that. So help me out. Press the share button. We share as in share the show, not share as in do you believe in life after love? Whoa. Oh yes, sorry. See, you even get me to sing to you tonight. Nearly there. Just pressing these last few share buttons so people know that we are live, but I'm not sharing in that group because they will be not very happy at all. I think that is about it. We're beginning to fill up. Welcome, welcome. Oh yes, sirree. We are nearly there. Oh, we are, yes. Don't forget our drinking game. If you take a shot of whatever you want to take a shot of, when I say the words "oh, sorry," because apparently I say it very often, but I haven't really noticed that very much. We are nearly there. I nearly finished posting, and then we can get the show started. Hello, everybody. I will say hi to you all individually, I promise. As soon as we have, that's it. As soon as we have watched the opening titles, which we're gonna go in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Nothing has been good to me this time around. Things were they were bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find no ribs. This is love, yeah, love. Never known true love before. Seen so many
Hello and welcome to the Xander Gibb Show. I am Xander Gibb because, who else would I be? We have a fabulous show lined up for you today on the Xander Gibb Show on the Xandermonium Network, live from an undisclosed location, bringing you the very best in Patriot broadcasting. I am going to get on my soapbox today just for a change and give the chance to you to do that also in our phone-in. Julio Rivera, editor-in-chief from Reactionary Times, drops by to break down this week's hottest topics, wrong teeth in for a change. And Chet Martin, anchor from Freedom on Deck, joins us too. You can have your say in the feed below, and as usual, I will be sharing your comments as we go along, so keep them clean-ish. You can call us when we get to that section, 845-363-4747 if we have time for calls. That's 845-363-4747 if you're in the USA, or via Skype if you're in the United Kingdom, mate, in Brexit land. I will, of course, be back with Joe Messina on the real side at 7 o'clock. And you can follow me on social media and check me out at xandergibb.com. Yes, go ahead, check me out. I have a few things to say before I come and say hello to people. What was that halftime show about at the Super Bowl? Licking and slutting and shaking booty. I thought it was the porn channel for a moment. We are going to speak about that later in the show. But what do you think? Tell me in the live feed. Was that a little bit too much? And, what can we expect next time? I want to talk a little bit about terrorists and the rights of the public to be safe over the rights of terrorists. Because in the UK, we had a knife attack. There was a terrorist attack in Streatham in South London recently. Because I think if you commit an act of terror, you don't deserve any rights, and you don't deserve any special considerations or even an early release without rigorous testing and monitoring. Now, we need to really get tough on those who are radicalizing our young people instead of pandering to their so-called religious freedom. Pray to whom you please. I just, I can't get around these people encouraging the killing of anybody. As a part of that. And until we get tough and stop people like the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, normalizing these situations and actions, people will continue to be killed. Stopping terror will only begin when we stop pandering and worrying about who we offend. Now, protecting everybody requires an unapologetic approach and a cessation of protecting criminals over victims. And people say, oh, well, when you leave them in prison, you radicalize them further. Well, don't let them get together then. Segregate them. Put them in a cell on their own in order to avoid further radicalization. I mean, it's not that simple. And in fairness, how many people that are that radicalized can ever come out of prison and be part of normal society? They're very few and far between. This week in the UK as well, the calls for affirmative action in the movie industry, apparently very few people were nominated people of color were nominated in the BAFTAs, the British Acting, Film and Television Awards. So basically what they're saying is they want affirmative action. So if you write a movie now or a script, you've got to include black people. Okay, I'm all for that, but then you must include a gay person, a lesbian, an Italian person, someone from the Bronx. You see what I'm saying? How ridiculous it gets. You cannot stipulate that artistic endeavors are subject to affirmative action. It's kind of concerning. I was furious this week at AOC disrespecting Limbaugh and the honor, Rush Limbaugh, and the honor bestowed upon him. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. How disgusting are the Democrats right now? They've reached rock bottom because they've got no policies, no leadership, no idea of what the American people need, and clearly no denture fixative. Yes, Nancy, I'm talking to you. That was my soapbox for this week. If you want to get on your soapbox, you can write to me via xandergibb.com/contact. That's xandergibb.com/contact. contact. All of that information is on the Xander Gibb show page for today. I'm going to go to the live feed to say hello. Hello to everyone who is watching. Hello to Mark. Hello to Chet, who's joining us later. Hello to Glow. Hello to, who else is there? Hello to Roger. Welcome. We're having a mega time here in the UK. Roger messages me often and talks about mega, which is making England great again, which I'm hoping that Boris Johnson is actually going to do and is doing. Hello to some guy called Joe Messina, whose show I will be on later tonight, so make sure you check that out. Be sure to watch that. Chet says, the NFL never seems to do the right thing. I agree. I mean, they should have just hired a bunch of strippers and got a keg. I mean, that surely is going to be like the next step. And yes, I agree that Sadiq Khan is the enemy of the United Kingdom. Hello to my Gina. Welcome back to the show. Let's see who else was. Mark says, no creative freedom anymore. We must push back with our wallets. I totally agree. I want diversity in everything. I want diversity in movies. But you cannot stipulate to people writing movies or creating TV shows that they must include this, this, and this. Or where is the art? You know, the artistry will go and disappear. Who else is in our live feed? Chet says AOC is a low life. Absolutely. I agree. She is really trouble. We've probably got one time for one call. 845-363-4747 if you're in the United States. That's 845-363-4747 if you're in the United States. And you can Skype me at Xander Gibb if you are in the United Kingdom. Please click that share button. I think some of you are worried that you might get the coronavirus from pressing it, but I assure you won't. I cleaned that meticulously earlier today. So give us a call, 845-363-4747, 845-363-4747. Do you think that we are all going to die from the coronavirus? I remember not so long ago, we were all going to die from Ebola and bird flu and SARS, but we really didn't, die from any of those things. And frankly, I do think that a lot of this is really scaremongering. Whilst we should all be taking care of ourselves, I think that they're pushing it a little far. Yes, we should be careful. But going out with a mask on in the street, I don't think that is viable right now. I really don't. It's not an epidemic. It's not in every country. It's not in every state. I do think that people need to stop being so overly obsessive with these things, shall we say. Hello to Alan, who just joined us. Welcome to the show. I have to say, I need to go buy new clothes next week. I've lost over 100 pounds, and really, I've surprised myself. I've been on the keto diet, but a consequence of losing weight is that all of your clothes are far too big for you. And when your pants fall down when you're trying to get in the car, it's not a very good thing to happen. So I'm going to go and buy some new clothes next week. Chet says, bird flu, isn't that what was spread by de Blasio? Well, when I first heard about bird flu, someone was saying about bird flu, and I'm like, which bird flu? Because all birds fly, surely. Alan is in Cincinnati. Show Alan some love in the live feed. I'm still not seeing people clicking the share button. So if you don't click the share button and you're watching this show, you will get 10 emails from Nigerian princes that won't make your life changed, I assure you. We got a little time to take a call, a very quick one, 845-363-4747. That's 845-363-4747. Don't forget our guests tonight are Julio Rivera from Reactionary Times. I'm looking forward to catching up with him. And my good friend Chet Martin from Freedom on Deck. He's the anchor and host of that show. And that goes out Sundays, 3 till 5, and that's Eastern. And if you make sure you follow them on freedomondeck.com and on Freedom on Deck on Facebook, they will you'll be able to find out exactly what the links are. And I think I'm on there next week, so they have pretty classy people on there, with me being on too. What else did I want to tell you? No, I can't tell you about how much I want to slap AOC because I have to be PC on the show, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So those of you that were asking, do I feel afraid living in the UK with all this kind of terrorism going on? Absolutely not. But I do think that something needs to give, because if you're letting people out of jail early, just to bow to public pressure, and then they go and kill someone, who's to blame for that? I think you have blood on your hands. It's really imperative that people are assessed appropriately before they are let out of jail. Whatever you're doing, but surely, if you're a terrorist, if you've committed an act of terrorism, it's even more imperative that they make sure that you are no longer radicalized. I mean, I'm not an expert on the topic, but people I've spoken to who are say that they've only ever heard of like one or two people that have become unradicalized, if that is a word, because ultimately they put you in, they put all of the radicalized people together, so they just become more radicalized. So, the government needs to look at a twofold thing. They need to look at how these people are treated in prison. And I'm sick of being told about their rights. If you kill other people as an act of terror, you lose your rights. Also, Shamima Begum, it just occurred to me, she lost her right again today. She's lost her British citizenship. But some people say she's already back in the UK, and they are trying to cover that up. Thank you very much, Mark. Yes, it has been an interesting journey losing the weight. Just have to go back up. Chet said, Xander, did you hear about this leaked document from Fox News? No, I didn't. You have to tell us more about that. Apparently it was talking down on their conservatives host, and their host cannot name the whistleblower on the air. I don't get this. People are being banned from Twitter for naming the whistleblower. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg basically said, yes, I did say it right, basically said they're not going to kind of infringe on the political commentary of conservatives anymore. And then they banned Andrea Kaye the other day because she had a certain person whose initials are LL. I better not mention her name because I don't want to lose any of my accounts. I mean, my account. Yeah, Fox has been getting lefty for a while, and that worries me too. I wish someone would invest in a conservative news channel, and then maybe I would move back to the United States and start broadcasting again. I can see me, coming back and being a lead anchor on a new television channel. So if you're out there watching and you're looking for somebody for your new channel, hey, Xander Gibb, face of 2020. I'm going to start to tell you a little bit about my first guest. You all know him. He's a member of the Xandermonium, Xander Gibb family. He is a regular on the show. His name is Julio Rivera, and he's editor-in-chief at reactionarytimes.com. And he's going to join us to break down some of this week's hottest topics. Did I mention that my president was acquitted this week? Did I mention that it was highlighted how ridiculous the Democrats are and how badly they are behaving right now? Did I mention that? Yes, he was acquitted. I love that people like Bette Midler can't handle it. He wasn't acquitted. It was this, it was that. You know what, Bette Midler? Shut up and sing. When I hear that Bette Midler is blocking gay people, her main fan base for disagreeing with her on Twitter, it worries me. I think this is my first guest. Please join me in welcoming back to the Xander Gibb Show, the one, the only, the fabulous Mr. Julio Rivera. Hello, sir. How is the world with you?
what did you just say before? I missed that last part.
About your introduction.
Mm-hmm.
I said the fabulous, something else, and the inimitable. You're not gonna sue me now for
Oh,
saying inimitable, are you?
yeah. Well, those are all 50-cent words. So, but how is everything with you?
Everything is wonderful with me. My health is wonderful. I've lost over 100 pounds. I might win Slimmer of the Year here in the UK, but we will have to wait and see on that. But how is the world with you, and how is your beautiful family?
Oh, everybody is great. I'm in Europe now, getting used to it. I like everything, but I'm following what's going on in America very closely, and Reactionary Times is growing exponentially. I think everybody has to go and log on to reactionarytimes.com.
Absolutely. I heartily recommend that people do that. Now, before we jump in, I just want to ask you, what has been the response to the UK leaving Europe where you are?
You know what? It's a mixed idea. There's some people that believe in nationalism and they believe that, you know, the European Union is negative. It's a step towards global socialism. And they understand that a one world government is no good and that doesn't really work for the average citizen. And middle class people are generally opposed to the idea of like huge government.
Right.
You know, but it's different in Europe. I think Europeans have a different outlook than Americans do. I think Americans are more proprietary when it comes to the idea of nationalism.
Right, absolutely, and lots of people I've spoken to in Europe since Brexit. I have friends in Spain and in a few other places. I have friends in Germany, and basically they have said that they're hoping that their country is going to pull out soon too. You know, because they want their economy back under their control, and they want their currency back because the euro is just not very, it's not very equitable currency right now.
No, it's not. And, you know, right now the dollar's only going to get stronger under Donald Trump. There's going to be another round of middle class tax cuts. I think the Republicans are poised to retake the House. And at that point, I think that things are going to go into hyperdrive. And America is going to not only get great, it's going to get to its greatest possible
Right.
point, you know, given the circumstances. You know, we are living in different times.
We certainly are, and it's been a very prolific week for the Trump administration this week because President Trump was quite rightly acquitted of the fake charges levied by the Democrats to cover up their money laundering in the Ukraine. Now, as well as was long expected, Democrats fell far short of the votes needed to remove the president from office. The Senate voted 52 to 48 on Wednesday to acquit Trump and charge that he abused his power, and 53 to 47 on the charge that he obstructed Congress. Now, Romney the Rhino was the only Republican who voted against Trump. What is your response to the acquittal, and is it time for Romney the Rhino to go?
Listen, if you look at Romney's career, he's always been further to the left than to the right.
Right.
I would call him, at his core, a centrist. I mean, as a businessman, I think he would have been a better president had he won in 2012, and I did support him, and I'm not going to run away from that.
Right.
I think that people that do that are being disingenuous. The fact is that, you know, Barack Obama had outed himself as a radical leftist, and we needed somebody who wasn't going to go that far. And, you know, I think that the economy got too regulated and constrained, and middle-sized businesses kind of got choked out of the market, and it became a lobbyist field of, you know, they were out there, just making gains for themselves, and it was only for the larger sized businesses and the unelected bureaucrats that were part of, the bureaucracies that kind of regulate these businesses were steering things in the directions of these larger businesses. And that's how these politicians and the ruling class in America make their money. They get in bed, with the largest, let's say internet providers or the largest providers of, natural energy or all of those other things. And that actually works against the interests of, the small to business size owner. But, I will say this, it is time for the Democrat Party as it stands today. It's a party that has used the power that they have consolidated to go ahead and enrich themselves right at their immediate level.
Right.
And I think that's the reason why they went after Donald Trump. As soon as Donald Trump decided that it was an issue that Hunter Biden was making $1 million a year with no experience in the energy sector, and he wanted to go after that, that's the reason why all these older legislators that have been in Congress for like 30, 40 years. Listen, the founders' intent were for people to serve one term,
Yes.
go back and live under the laws that they created, not to go ahead and create this system that they continue to manipulate and monopolize and continue to get rich off of. There's no reason why anyone should go into Congress, have a 30-year career and walk away, with 9 figures in their bank. I mean, I think that's horrible.
I totally agree.
And, Donald Trump, at the end of the day, I was just going to say, Donald Trump, at the end of the day, even though people say that, oh, well, he got money from his family, but it was still his family personally that did it. They didn't go out and, use the power that they had politically to go ahead and make more money. They
Absolutely
hadn't suffered. Listen, I'm from New Jersey. I saw what happened in Atlantic City, and it wasn't only Trump's casino that went bankrupt. The entirety of the Atlantic City casinos had a hard time, and that's why Donald Trump eventually had his bankruptcy.
Absolutely, you make a very good point there, because I've said for long enough that it's imperative that from the top that we stop the we need to enforce term limits. I mean, there are term limits for most mayoral terms. There are term limits for presidents. I think that every state should have a term limit, because that would minimize them abusing their power. Because the ideology back in the day was that you went and did this for a couple of years. You served as a representative or as a senator, and then you would go back to your job. And like you say, this is not happening anymore. And people are how come Nancy Pelosi is a millionaire? You can't tell me her husband has earned all that money.
No, not at all. And that's what it is. It's taking advantage of a system that they go ahead and rig. Like, when Donald Trump said that the system was rigged and it was a swamp and he needed to break it up, he knew what he was saying. And that's the reason why they're against the deregulation, because what regulations do is it keeps the larger companies on top and in charge of what's going on. Even if they lose profit margin, ultimately they keep market share, which is what keeps them on top. Because, American ingenuity, the way that it works is that if somebody comes up with a better idea, then, guess what? They're going to get all the customers, and, the old guard, the people that have been in charge forever, have an issue with that.
Right.
And, Congress is only working in favor of the establishment, and the establishment, not just politically, but the establishment business-wise, people who have been, in power for that long.
Right. Absolutely. And this is why it's imperative to drain the swamp. And, I support Donald Trump 200%, but I think now it is time for Bill Barr to be issuing subpoenas against criminal Democrats, because they've got away with too much for too long. Let's face it.
Yeah, Bill Barr, I like some things that I've seen from him, but at the same time I worry, because he's been around for a long time. When it was time to assign an attorney general, whenever it was time to assign a new FBI director, I always thought that they should have gone at the local level with maybe like some kind of top cop
Right.
regionally, or somebody who had a good reputation, not necessarily somebody who had been operating in the DC circles, because all of these people have pre-existing relationships, to me, that I find worrisome. At the end of the day, like, I'm a political animal, and
Right.
I write about these things, and I meet a lot of people that are involved in a lot of different things, but I'm outside of that. You know what I mean? Like, my family doesn't belong to any of these larger industries. I'm just a regular kind of working class American who just has, like, a political, interest in what's going on. And I think people that have been around for too long, are not the right choices to go forward. I think that's
Definitely
what
not.
actually hurt Donald Trump's presidency, is that he did not clear out, the executive branch and all of these unelected bureaucracies that are around. There are way too many people that still exist in government that belong to that establishment. People that were assigned by Barack Obama, people that were by George W. Bush. There's still people out there that are Clinton appointees that
Yeah.
are still holding office, and I think that all of those people need to be removed from government.
Yeah, because a new broom should really sweep as cleanly as possible. Because I think if you're in someone's cabinet, if you're in someone's administration, and you don't agree with them, then you should go and find another job. I want to move on very quickly because we're time bound to the State of the Union address. This week, President Trump gave a very moving State of the Union address. He brought many to our attention, brought some home, and highlighted the success of his ad man. He gave Rush Limbaugh the President's Medal of Honor. Pelosi was rude, belligerent, and tried to speak over him, and she even concluded by tearing up his speech. Now, aside of all the nastiness from the Democrats, wasn't this really the best State of the Union address ever?
I would go ahead and say yes, because I think the American economy is stronger than it's ever been. I think this is the strongest economy in the history of the world. I think this is an economy that has delivered for everyone equally, because of the fact that it's based around deregulation and lowering taxes. So it gives everybody a fair shot to
Right.
go ahead and make their fortune. And that's the problem with the Democrats, because the Democrats for years have said that we're the party that's going to make things better for minorities. But it's always been a bunch of lip service. I can hark back to February of 2018 when President Trump challenged the Democrats to go ahead and produce a comprehensive immigration reform bill 3 weeks before Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals expired, the bill commonly known as DACA. He offered to go ahead and grant legalization to 1.8 million illegal residents to give them path to citizenship, but the Democrats sat on their hands and they used it as a platform point for their running, to try to go ahead and retake the House. But at the end of the day, if the president is offering to make life easier for that many people that you claim to work for, and you don't take that olive branch when it's extended to you, then to me, as a Latino American, as a Hispanic, as a brown person, whatever you want to call it, that proves to me that the Democrats couldn't care less about people from South and Central America.
Yeah, for sure. You're Latino, Julio? Who knew?
Oh, yeah, well, that's kind of where the Conserva Rican moniker comes from. You
Absol-
know that.
Absolutely.
You know me a long time. Listen, Xander, we've been friends for a long time.
We
and
sure
I know
have.
you know that.
We sure have.
That.
Now, for me, I live in the UK right now, and I stayed up till God-forsaken hour in the morning and sat and watched this until throughout, and I was very moved by it. I was moved that he, of the servicemen he brought home, of the young person he gave a scholarship to, and his grandfather had been one of the first black pilots. It just was, to me, it was the epitome of what America should be about and what they should be trying to do. And even though, Pelosi sat and talked talked while he was talking and was a complete bitch, if you'll excuse my expression. It wasn't enough to spoil it for everybody else.
No, it really wasn't. I think that the only thing they did was they showed the fact that, they're not about the American people. They're not about the average American. They're only about consolidating power. And you know what? They proved that with what happened in the state of Virginia last year when there was the scandal, the blackface scandal.
Right.
You had the governor proving himself to be a racist. You had the lieutenant governor in a blackface scandal of his own. You had the attorney general having had, I guess, be in the scandal about abusing women. And the reason that the Democrats didn't hold them to account and remove them from office was because the next in the line of succession that would have been the governor and had control over the state of Virginia would have been the leader of the state legislature, which is a Republican. And that proved right there at that moment that it's not about their issues. It's not about what they, claim it to be, that they're for, social justice and, rights for minorities and women. It's only about keeping power.
Absolutely.
Keeping power.
For sure. And I don't know. I feel that all of this has been a turning point. I'm even feeling this in the UK. The attitude of the media here has changed a little towards Donald Trump. Because they've been saying for so long, bad orange man, bad orange man. And this, what happened this week, said absolutely not bad orange man. And I kind of feel like people are taking a little bit of notice.
I hope so. I hope that globally the attitudes change. And I think it is, over there where you are. I'm a huge fan of Boris Johnson. That guy,
Me too.
I think that he is an incredible politician. I love listening to him talk. I think that he is incredibly brilliant, and I think that he is one of the best right now doing it. And I think that he has the best interests of the English people at heart. I think that the European Union and their attitudes on immigration and going ahead and allowing for a dangerous situation. Listen, London is out of control.
It totally is.
That mayor that's in London has made it into a war zone. It's very dangerous for people. I'm very, very scared because, my own daughter is going to be visiting London shortly. And, I told her, keep your head on a swivel and look over both shoulders because it's a dangerous situation.
Yeah, for sure. I love Boris Johnson too, and wait till you hear my impersonation of him. It is really something to behold. We do have to leave it there, unfortunately. I want you to tell people where they can find you, where they can hear your broadcasts, etc., etc.
Well, you guys can go to www.reactionarytimes.com. Please check out the website on a daily basis to get your news. We cover all news and have the greatest, sharpest political opinions on the conservative side. And we have Reactionary Times TV, multimedia, everything. Reactionarytimes.com.
Absolutely. So make sure you go and check that out. All of Julio's information is on the Xander Gibb show page for today on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us, Julio. I'm sure you'll be back very soon. But for now, thank you so much, Julio Rivera.
Thank you, and God bless, brother.
You too, brother. Thanks so much. That was Julio Rivera. Make sure you check him out and check out reactionarytimes.com. Now, my next guest is... don't know what that beeping was. My next guest is Chet Martin, and he's the anchor from Freedom on Deck, and he's going to be calling us any minute live from New York. As I said earlier, Chet's show goes out Sundays 3 to 5 Eastern Time. Be sure to follow their Facebook page to keep up with what is going on with them. Oh, yes, sirree. Chet says, Boris Johnson is a true patriot. Well, Chet, thank you so much for saying that Boris Johnson, is a true patriot because, yes, I absolutely am. Thank you very much for that commentary. That's my little impersonation of Boris the Johnson. It's funny, they call him Bojo here. So they take the first two letters of his first name and the first two letters of his last name to come up with his nickname, Bojo. I don't like it though. I really don't. It's not very respectful of his position, given that he is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So this should be my next guest on the line, live from New York, the one, the only, the fabulous Mr. Chet Martin. Welcome to the show, Chet. How is the world with you, brother?
Everything's great. I'm just enjoying some conversation with your listeners in the feed, and I look forward to that every Friday night, man. I'm telling you, it's a good thing you got going over there, Xander.
Thank you. Absolutely. Me too. I'm looking forward to getting back to 5 days a week when I will be able to kind of like do it every day. And it's funny. I don't know if you find this, but with your own show, Freedom on Deck, therapeutic for me to do this because it gets my kind of anger and frustration out there with regards to how I'm feeling about certain situations. Gives me a platform.
Oh, absolutely. And you get to talk to like-minded people, and you usually learn something, right? I mean, I learned something from every show, including yours. So
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Nothing to do with the hokey pokey. Talking of the hokey pokey, which is a great segue, I want to talk about Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, the performance they put on for Super Bowl 2020 for the halftime show. Now, the two pop stars shared the stage and performed a medley of their biggest hits, from Shakira's Whenever, Wherever, and Hips Don't Lie to Lopez's On the Floor, and a cover of Cardi B's I Like It. It was all very sexual as far as I was concerned, and they were joined by Latin trap artist Bad Bunny. Now, it was like hookers on parade, shaking breasts and booties and tongues out and legs akimbo. Highly inappropriate in my view, because I know there were a lot of young people watching that. I mean, what next year? Full-on sex with Stormy Daniels and sex toys?
It could be. I'll tell you one thing, Xander. When it comes to the NFL, it reminds me of the Coliseum in the Roman times. You've got people basically stripping. They won't stand for the the anthem.
Right.
And everybody there is anti-American. I don't know if you caught it before the halftime show started, which I thought was disgusting, but they showed Jay-Z and Beyonce sitting on their butts.
Right.
For the flag and the anthem, and that's just, to me, that's what ticks me off more than anything. But as far as those two elderly women gyrating and grabbing their junk, I don't need to see it.
Because they're both in their 40s and 50s. J-Lo is 50. You know, when I see Madonna do it, you know, I'm a fan of Madonna, but, you know, I don't want to see her bony ass doing that at that age, because it's like seeing your mom being sexual. Let's face it. And you don't want you know, I'm not a parent. I know you are, but did you watch the Super Bowl with your kids? What were your kids' reaction, or did you stop them from watching the halftime show, or?
They didn't watch the halftime show. They were already in bed by then. But if they had been up, I probably would have let them watch it.
Right.
You know, it's good that you brought up Madonna. Madonna was up on stage, you know, gyrating at one of the Super Bowls at one time. And speaking of female artists, I don't know if you remember Janet Jackson actually had her breast exposed during a halftime event.
They do.
And it seems, and Xander, it seems since then, which was back in the early 2000s, it's just snowballed into something worse and worse. And, you know, when I think of football, I don't make the thinking's lining up with music from Madonna.
No.
I don't really know why they cater to that group, but it's what they do. I thought it was just really vulgar. It was over the top, and they didn't have to do it. They could spend more of their halftime celebrating the veterans of America after all the garbage that football has done to our veterans. Give them the podium. Give them the platform. And not to mention, Xander, they had anti-cop commercials on during the
Wow.
Super Bowl, and that was really disgusting.
Wow. To me as well, it's about wearing the clothing that's appropriate. A member of parliament here recently called Tracy Brabin was criticized for going into the House of Commons and made us was speaking. I don't know what it was about, but she had a cutoff, like a top with only one, like a shoulder that kind of revealed a plunging neckline, and it only had one arm in. I'm sorry, my description is not very good, but more suitable for something like a cocktail party. But she said, I will wear what I like. Now, I'm not prudish. You know, if you're going to a bar, you're going to an event, you wear what the heckity you like. But if you're going into Parliament, or if you're going to perform where children are, then you dress respectfully. Surely it's an imperative, you know, to dress appropriately for whatever the function is.
Well, for her to do that now, I guess is fine, but with the rise of Islam across the pond, she might not be doing it for much longer.
No.
I mean, you know, we have a representative in Congress that does the same thing. I can't think of her name. She's in Arizona. She's actually, she was the blonde woman that was standing up and applauding Donald Trump during his State of the Union. I actually respect her because she doesn't go after the president for no apparent reason. And she gave him credit where it was due, but you should dress for the job. My father always told me, dress for the job in the interview. And their position, being a member of parliament, it should be an interview with the people and your constituents every day.
Dave is saying in the chat room, he said to tell you that they could have had Slayer play halftime, whatever that means. That probably means far more to you than it does to me.
The metal band, yeah.
Well, that would have been more appropriate than scantily clad women shaking their vajayjays in the direction of the audience, because I don't think that that's appropriate. I mean, I've never been to the Super Bowl. You know, I'm not really the kind of person who's a ball game fan. But the couple of times that I've been, it's always been a very mixed event. What do you think the kids made of that? Because, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure 13 and 14-year-old boys would have thought it was amazing, but really, was it appropriate for them to see that?
Well, our kids are over-sexualized in school. They're over-sexualized by the TV. They're over-sexualized by the phones. So they probably see it, and it's probably not very shocking to them. That's the sad part. I mean, pornography is at the tip of your fingers if you're a kid now. Yeah. So I would hope that the parents in the room would say to themselves, little Timmy needs to go to bed. You know, a lot of the excuses made from the parents, it's unacceptable to me, because my kids have a set of rules. They're to follow them, and if they don't, they're in trouble. And in my house, they're going to be put in their room, or they might get a whack on the ass, depending how I feel. Yeah. But they will respect their country. I can guarantee you that. Yeah.
But in fairness, Chet, you know, I know you're a great dad, but it is your job to make sure your kids have, you know, discipline and good moral standing. And I don't think that that's a bad thing, because I think that is something that brings America down, with these parents that don't give their kids a good grounding.
I agree. The way you know, you can tell when a child has been raised with discipline, because usually they turn out good. A child that is raised with no discipline, you're going to see opposite results, and you know that, Xander. It's true.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are the odd exceptions to the rule. Some kids are raised with too much discipline, and then they end up.
Of course. There's a balance. There's definitely a balance.
There totally is. So who do you think should be headlining? I think they should have Xander Gibb sing next year at the Super Bowl. I think that would be pretty awesome.
I agree, 100%. Xander all the way. You got a much better voice than them anyway, and you don't lip sync.
No, and I won't be shaking my booty anytime soon. Talking of booty, I don't know how good a segue that is. But in the State of the Union address this week, President Trump awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom to conservative talk show host Rush Limbaugh. First Lady Melania Trump presented the honor, the country's highest for a civilian, to Rush. He announced earlier this week that sadly he's fighting advanced stage 4 lung cancer. President Trump praised Rush Limbaugh for all that he has done for our nation and the millions of people a day that he speaks to and inspires, and all of the incredible work that he's done for charity. Yeah, many have critiqued Rush Limbaugh. I've had correspondents this week saying, how can you be supportive of Rush Limbaugh? He's homophobic. Is he really? Because he disagrees with gay marriage? I disagree with gay marriage, so I must be homophobic too. Now, even in his hour of illness, people are dissing this man. Now, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you need to go back to bartending, shared a video critiquing this dying man, which was vile and disgusting. Now, as much as we dislike Nancy, if she were given this diagnosis, I hope we would show a little bit more care and decorum.
Whatever happened to the old liberal Democrat saying, when they go low, we go high?
Yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
Michelle Obama used to say it a lot. She didn't do it, but she said it. You see, this is the problem here.
Right.
And another thing, Xander, Rush Limbaugh is a good patriotic American.
Right.
And that's why Donald Trump did what he did for him at the State of the Union. And I would tell Miss Cortez that Barack Obama handed those things out like peppermint.
Yeah, like lollipops.
Ellen DeGeneres got one, Alexandria. What does she do? Where does she get the deserve it for that kind of a medal? She doesn't. And Alexandria Cortez absolutely hates this president, and she has hijacked the Democrat Party. Her and her squad are ruining it.
For sure.
And I'm going to enjoy it so much in 2020 when they lose the House because
I have a feeling, because there are some good people running against AOC for her seat. Because she was asked the other day if she was concerned that her seat was in jeopardy, and she actually turned around and said, "You can't trick me. My seat is in New York." But I know there are some good people that are running against her. So seriously, that happened. So hopefully she will lose her seat. But the concern for me is that it's not that, look at how restrained, the example I gave was, look at how restrained we had to be when the traitorous guy, what's his name, whose daughter, who looks like Miss Piggy, is on The View, when he was diagnosed.
Oh, John McCain.
John McCain. When he. So apologies for my commentary out there. I do apologize to Miss Piggy for likening you to John McCain's daughter. But when that happened, we had to be respectful to him, even though we didn't like him or his policies or the fact that he was a traitor to America. So should that not be the same rule on both sides of the House?
Of course it should, but the dangers in the climate and our political system this year it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. I think the Democrats and their supporters are just upset because the American people told them enough's enough. And we hired Mr. Trump. And I mean, how can you go away from Washington insiders more than doing that? That's why they're upset, and that's why they take shots at us the way they do. That's why we're always being attacked. I don't know if I mentioned this to you last time around. In Connecticut, across the pond from me on Long Island, they are now contemplating to start a new police force that will monitor right-wing activism. And it's aside from the state police. And we had Chris Murphy promoting this.
Seriously?
They want to start a separate brown shirt police squad to monitor all the crazy, kooky right-wingers in Connecticut. It's amazing to me the way they get away with all this stuff, Xander. They are really pushing it to a point where, they just want to take everything from us. They're trying in Virginia to take everybody's Second Amendment, and then you look at that happening in Connecticut, and you wonder what the ultimate goal is.
Well, clearly, I've been saying for a long time that what they want to do is liberalize the planet, and they're trying it state by state, and they're even trying it over here because they only have one MO, liberals. But correct me if I'm wrong. But when I lived in Connecticut's a sanctuary state. They give driving licenses to illegals. Their attitude towards illegals is, come and live here. We'll shield you, kind of thing. I know there are plans afoot for sanctuary cities to be stripped of certain funding, which I totally agree with. But why then turn on conservatives? Because you see, we're seeing it everywhere. You and I have been banned from social media several times for ridiculous things. I'm on a 50-day ban right now from broadcasting live from my main account, because I shared 2 pictures of Tommy Robinson 2.5 years ago. Andrea Kay just lost her Facebook for having a certain person who shall remain nameless on her show. But where does it end? And I think that we will end up needing some kind of protection. Hi, Sharon. In this situation, it's getting ridiculous.
It is getting ridiculous. When I heard about Andrea Kay, I was shocked because what they did was they removed her from Facebook.
Yeah.
There's nothing she could do.
No.
From what she told me, because I messaged her on Twitter, she sent them proof of who she is.
Yeah.
But they wanted her driver's license, and who's going to send their freaking driver's license to the people at Facebook? How stupid do you have to be?
Yeah.
And they're doing this just to bully us, Xander. They want us to shut up. They don't want us to reelect this man. And you said it a while back. If we're going to reelect President Trump, we need social media to be very, very strong on our backs.
Well, we've both said often enough that part of what got Donald Trump elected was the social media element of the Trump train, and they're trying to stamp on that right now. And I really don't care if Facebook like it or not. If you are somebody who is attacked on social media and you keep losing your account or they ban you, get as many accounts as you need, whether their rule is to have one or not. Because the thing is that ultimately, if they can't abide by the rules and be fair, why should we? But I've only got one account, and you have 2, isn't that right, Chet?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's ever going to end for us.
It's not.
As far as being scapegoats on social media. But they pick and they pick and they pick, and they want you to give up. And that's the sad thing. Don't give up. Just speak the truth.
Right.
If you end up getting your account pulled, so be it. But at least when you look in the mirror, you can say, I did the right thing. Because we have to fight for this country. But that's part of it.
Absolutely. But the thing for me, and I'm sure you would agree with this, and I'm not pointing at anybody in particular, but people only care when it's happened to them. Every time it happens to me, nobody gives 2 freaking hoots. And that bothers me, because I need my social media in order to be able to partake in my political ministry. And frankly, when they take these privileges away, I have to find other ways of doing it. Because let's face it, why are they taking accounts away from people? Because they're afraid of their message. That's what it is.
You should have your brother's back. You should be able to stand up for your fellow American and really stand up for this country and yourself, because eventually they will come for you. You were the only host that ever pointed out all of my bannings on Facebook, and you did it every time that it happened to me, and I appreciate it. No one else did, and that means there are a lot of people that I support on all my social media accounts, and they didn't do it either. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm not saying they're bad people, but they didn't mind that since it happened happened to me, it wasn't them. As long as their side of the street was clean,
Yeah.
they were good.
Yeah, and that concerns me because I am the first one to jump to people's defense. But the thing is that you know when you are on the front line like you and I are, we do get shell shocked. We do get tired, and even more so when you do a show every single day. And when you don't get that support, I get a little PISS with Christians, with conservatives. That was Freudian. With conservatives that don't back us up, you know, and Christian conservatives too. When they don't back us up, you know, what is the point?
You know what it is, Xander? They're holding to their account. They want it so bad, and they just put up with basically the deplatforming of conservatives.
For sure.
And then when it happens to them, you know, listen, I'm not saying anything bad towards anybody, but I got a flyer from Andrea, you know, this week. But when it happened to me, nobody got any flyers.
No.
Nobody asked.
No.
You know.
So I didn't do any.
What goes around comes around. Just
Yeah.
be careful.
Absolutely, I didn't do flyers for you, but I protested against it, you know, on the show because I think that it's imperative to do so. But I'm sure as you have stepped back as well. You only support those that support you because there is a small conglomerate of us that should be in direct competition, but we're not because we all have the same aim. And the imperative is, and what has been happening, at least for I can't even think how many years I've known you. We've all gelled, we've all worked together because we all have a common aim to keep America great.
And if you're being reciprocal with the other shows that have you on, the other shows that give you credit, it's going to come back.
It is.
Or it should. But it's sad to see that most of the time it doesn't. You've really been the only one that has done that for me, and I commend you for that. And please, I'm not trashing anyone else that has a smaller conservative show and that I follow, but I have never received it from anyone but you.
No,
and that's just the truth. I'm sorry.
You know what, Chet? I have your back, and I always will. Not just because we do similar things and we have the same aim, and we both do shows, but you know, you're my brother. We have to leave it there.
Thank you.
Tell us who's on the show this Sunday, if you can remember, and where people can watch the show.
All right, so we have Kelly Rydell Sadler coming on, and I don't have the organization that she's with, but we also have Jennison Franklin, and he's one of Donald Trump's spiritual advisors. So
Wonderful.
What we're going to talk about is the prayer breakfast, what Donald Trump had to say about Nancy Pelosi, and what Nancy Pelosi has had to say about Donald Trump and her praying for him. Because I'll tell you this, Xander, any good Christian Catholic doesn't support abortion. Nancy, you're not a Christian.
Yeah,
and go to
sure.
freemondeck.com to see where it is and where you can listen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, Chet. I will speak to you very soon. Have a fabulous weekend and give my best to your family.
Thank you, Xander. Take care.
Thanks a lot, brother. Take care. That was Chet Martin from Freedom on Deck. Make sure you check them out at freedomondeck.com. All of their information, as I said, is on the Xander Gibb Show page on Facebook for this week. Thank you for everyone that's made today's show possible. Thank you to Julio Rivera from Reactionary Times. He's the editor-in-chief. Make sure you go and check him out. Sorry, I was just distracted. I was reading what Dave was saying. Right, okay. Thank you for that, Dave. I will catch up with you with regards to that. Stick around if you will. You can catch me later on the my brain has just died. You can catch the Gibster on the real side with Joe Messina, 7 Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, and 3 a.m. in the UK if you're going to be staying up that late. We will be back next week Thanks for everyone in the live chat. Thanks for our regulars. I really do love you all. Make sure you press the share button before you leave. If you don't, your carpet slippers will turn to dust before dawn. I really do love you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye. Bye.
It has been good to me this time around. Things were the bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find no ribs. This is love, yeah, love. Never known true love before. Seen so many counterfeits that left me on the floor. This is love, yeah, love. All will come to those who wait. Time it cannot know the bounds, and eras don't dictate.
Click the bell button and subscribe to keep up with the Xander